All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to get started with you. We are on day one of the Healthy for Life Starter Kit. My name is Sue-Ann Hickey, coming to you just west of Montreal from Hudson, Quebec. And I have so much amazing information to share with you this week. Today, we are talking about healthy alternatives for ordinary foods. So I'm going to jump right in and share my screen, and we will get started in just a second. All right, let's pull up my PowerPoint. Here we are, and it is liftoff. So we were, whoops, 1 second. All right, so you can let me know in the chat if you can see my screen and that everything is working as it should. Once again, my name is Sue-Ann Hickey, and I am a naturopath and located just west of the island of Montreal. Nutrition, healthy eating, healthy lifestyle has been a passion of mine for probably 30 years. And I am here today. We're going to be talking about how to replace ordinary foods with healthier alternatives. I am best known for the first slide that you see, the 4 body types. So I am best known for how to eat right for your body type. It is my absolute passion, and we'll be diving into that on day 4. But everything else we'll be listening to and discussing today is all about things that are leading up to that. So each day plays on the next. So let's dive in. So here's what we're covering today. You may be feeling hungry and having tons of cravings, and you don't know what to do about it. Maybe you have never, you have tried to deprive yourself before, and I'm going to tell you why that just doesn't work. We're going to be doing the opposite today and showing you how to do the opposite. We're going to be showing you how to easily replace ordinary foods with healthier alternatives. And I'm also going to be diving in how to quickly and easily read a food label. So I just wanted to talk about the checklist that you got in your email this morning. I have printed it out, and you can print out your own copy. I'm going to be going over that in the process as well, but there are a lot of things on the Healthy Alternatives food list that are all about healthy carbs, right? And that is day 3. So stay tuned. We're going to take you step by step without sending you into overwhelm. That is the main goal. All right, this is for you if you're so confused with all the conflicting information out there, right? It's just crazy because you might read an article and they tell you that eggs are good for you. And then the next day someone tells you, oh my God, don't eat eggs. It does this to your body. And it just goes on and on and on. There are so many so-called experts who have lost 20, 25 pounds, and now they're going to tell you everything you need to do. And there are also like so many posts on social media that people post things just to get like attention and just to create chaos. And I find it so disheartening for myself and for others when there is so much misinformation and people saying things that are just not true. So I'm going to cut through the confusion. If you've been feeling discouraged and confused because of that, maybe you spend too much time second guessing the right way to eat, again, because of all the conflicting information. Now, the food industry is out to take you down, right? It's not easy to know what to do anymore. You see so many packaged foods that say healthy on the label. And I've had clients tell me that, well, it said it was healthy or natural or, pure, but the food industry is out, we know, to make money and not out with your best interest at hand. So you can change, you can win this battle against the food industry and change the standard American diet. In the US, right, the acronym is SAD because it is a sad diet, because it's reaching epidemic proportions of how many people are eating so much packaged and processed foods, refined oils, refined grains, because it's fast and easy. And who has the time to spend hours on the weekend doing food prep, right? Not too many of us. But I'm going to show you how to cut back on all the processed and packaged food and increase all of the foods that are much better for us. A little bit about me for those that are new to me. As I was saying, nutrition, healthy eating has been a passion of mine since 1990. So I didn't always follow a perfect healthy lifestyle. Didn't have the perfect family, even though the pictures look pretty good. Perfect parents. Did anyone have perfect parents? I don't know. Anyway, what I am grateful for is that I did follow a very active lifestyle when I was young. That's me, top left, dressed in the bunny costume that my mom sewed for me for the last day of ski lessons. My dad taught skiing. So we were out skiing probably as soon as I was able to on skis with the rest of the 5 kids. That's me in the middle. I'm the youngest of 5. So yes, there was a lot of playing outside. There was a lot of activity. And as I said, my dad was super active with skiing and other sports. So I'm really happy that I grew up that way, outside as we used to be. And I also got waylaid a little bit through my teens, 20s, and 30s with partying, right? This is down below on the right, me in the sorority. I got an A+ in partying at University of Concordia in Montreal. And at the time I thought, well, it's normal, everyone is partying. But in retrospect, I think I did a fair bit of numbing my feelings with alcohol and pot, where some people might say, well, what do you know about overeating or overweight? Have you ever been overweight? Not that much, but I did not use food in order to numb my feelings. As I said, I used pot and alcohol. I think we all have many, many things in our childhood that trigger us. And as we go through life, we are here to learn the lessons and overcome all the obstacles along our path and learning those lessons. And it's a lifelong journey, right? It took me until 5 years ago to meet this wonderful man, bottom left. And because I had so much healing to do, because of my upbringing, because of my parents, my dad left and came back 10 times when I was young. Not to say woe is me and blame things on my parents, but just to note that there's always an emotional component of what is going on. And we'll go more into that tomorrow when we talk about cravings and emotional hunger versus physical hunger. So way back in 1993, I set off on an around the world spiritual journey because it was in 1990 that I took my first yoga class and everything changed. I started learning about healing. I started opening up, kind of like a flower, because I had been so painfully shy up until that point. And I decided to do my yoga teacher's training course. This is in India, Southern India, spectacular place. And 1 month of staying at an ashram, learning about teaching yoga, which I did for 24 years. And I went to Nepal. This is a picture from Nepal. I learned about Buddhism and meditation. I went to many ashrams and learned all about different spiritual things and was growing and learning as I went. It was kind of eat, pray, love, Canadian style. I taught yoga for 24 years. This is up north of Montreal, beautiful ashram, the Shivananda Yoga Camp. And at that time, I became vegetarian. And I really believe that a plant-based diet is the healthiest way to eat on the planet and for the planet. However, we do need to be careful because for some people, you might need to be making sure you get enough protein. But I was really sure for 16 years that this was the way I was going to eat for the rest of my life. But at the time I had a lot of challenges going on, right? I was hypoglycemic, which means, low blood sugar. So I would be going up and down every day. My energy would crash. Every afternoon, I would yawn for nonstop for half an hour. I had eczema all over my hands. I had really no energy. I would, as I said, up and down energy, no stamina. I had joined at the time a cycling club and I couldn't keep up. At the end of each ride, I would be on the couch, unable to move. And my complexion was like was like this, right? I was white as a ghost and having a lot of challenges. So when I finally started taking my classes to be a naturopath, that was when my health completely transformed. I learned so much about nutrition and healthy eating. And the first thing my teacher taught us was about how to eat right for our body type. And that was a game changer for me. Whoops, sorry. Just trying to move this down a little bit so you can see maybe a bit better. So I was hooked on how to eat right for my body type. At the time, I found out that I needed way more protein than I was getting from my vegetarian diet. So I started adding in some more eggs, some more fish, a little organic chicken, and I felt so much better, so much more balanced. And all my ailments disappeared. The eczema completely went away. Hypoglycemia became a thing in the past. My cravings went down, and my strength and energy just soared. Here you can see we're climbing a big hill in Stowe, Vermont, and I am ahead of the boys. So everyone is asking me, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you taking to make yourself so strong? And it was just everything that I was learning that transformed my health and my life. So now in the next 3-4 days, I'm going to tell you a lot of the things that I learned. So what I love to do now is help all my clients do the same, eating right for their body type and learning all the things that we're learning today and over the next couple of days. All right. So as I said before, there was just too much conflicting and confusing information. Do gluten-free. Do we need to do gluten-free? Do we need to be dairy-free? Watching cholesterol, zero carbs, low carb, keto, intermittent fasting. What do you do? There's so many different things to follow. So I'm here to cut through all that confusion for you and help you out. The number one thing we want to do is eat real whole foods in their most natural state possible. You want to go back to eating the way our ancestors ate, right? They were out in the fields harvesting their vegetables, but now we have such a lot more variety all year long to be able to eat all these fresh, healthy foods. And so it's a matter of trying to start replacing the packaged processed foods and eating more of these whole natural foods. So no food has been made more nutritionally dense through packaging or processing, right? The opposite is true. So the things and kinds of foods you want to be eating and increasing as much as possible are your vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, good carbs, and protein. So that might seem overly simplified, but it's true. And I'm going to explain to you why and what happens when you do so. So think of a little seed, right? If you think of this, one seed can grow an entire plant. So can you even begin to think of how many nutrients are in this tiny little seed? It has to grow an entire plant. So many seeds are so high in vitamins and minerals. Some are higher in protein, like chia seeds. They're high in omega-3s, fatty acids. So good for us, and something that people don't think of eating much of, right? For myself, when I make snacks, I include sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds into my trail mix, which just boosts up the nutritional density like crazy. And a little goes a long way. So completely different than if you're having, like, I don't know, a couple of Ritz crackers, right? How much nutritional density is there in them? Hardly any. So it's more about finding the whole foods and what happens when we eat those foods. Well, yes, energy will go up. Your cravings will go down because when you eat, say you're eating things like celery, for instance. Celery is really high in organic sodium. So if you crave salty foods a lot and you're increasing celery and increasing your good quality salt, then your cravings for maybe unhealthy salty things like chips can go down. Same thing for What else? Healthy fats, right? If you start having more seeds and nuts, you're increasing all these wonderful healthy fats in your body, and your craving for fatty and fried foods will go down. It works 100%. You will have a better mood because, especially if you're addicted to sugar, what goes up must come down, right? And each time we have sugar, it's addictive and we crave more and more of that. When you eat healthier, more balanced, your moods, your energy levels will be more balanced and your moods will be as well. Believe me, I know firsthand it happened to me. Weight loss will happen more easily. You can improve your brain function. Our brain is fatty, right? So feeding it those healthy fats helps the brain. We decrease inflammation in the body. I've seen so many clients when they made their diet more clean, they're like, oh my God, my aches and pains are so much better. It happens every single time. Also, youthful skin and appearance. Number one thing that sugar does, it ages us prematurely, right? It's one of the biggest things that keeps me from eating too much sugar because I don't want to be old and wrinkly. I am old, but I don't want to be wrinkly. So it eases joint and muscle pain. You have better immune function, 100%. So many of our foods, such as garlic and onions, are so good for the immune system and immunity. Better digestion, again, 100%. Imagine if your food has to break down these heavy, fatty, fried foods. A lot of my clients will tell me, if they eat a bag of chips, they just feel sick after, or, eating fattier fried foods, you'll feel sick after. Your body is talking to you and you need to listen. A long and healthy life. So these are just some of the benefits of eating a healthy whole food diet. So whole grains, as I mentioned, we're going to go into this more on Wednesday for your healthy whole grains, but just a quick list to get you started now. So you can eat potatoes are fine as long as they're not piled high with butter and sour cream, right? We also have quinoa. There are sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are amazing, high in beta carotene. Buckwheat is a really great grain that absorbs all the vitamins and minerals from the soil, so it's super nutrient dense. Barley is one that we don't think of much, but it's perfect in soups. And then if you can find spelt and kamut, these are ancient grains, way better than wheat. There's also rye, and there's other ones that we might not think of so much, like millet or amaranth and things like that. But seeing with your eye, what does that mean? So if you look at barley, you can see the grain with your eye, or quinoa, we can see it's a little seed compared to if it's packaged and processed, into whatever they're making, crackers or cookies, then you can no longer see the grain, not as good for us. Number two thing I want you to make sure you do is never diet or deprive yourself. By that, I mean restricting whole food groups, trying to cut back on things, trying to eliminate all your so-called, treat foods or whatever. That never works long term. And for those of you who know me, I am all about finding ways that you can eat for the rest of your life. We are never going to get off the diet roller coaster if we try and do some strict, rigid diet for, a certain amount of time, knuckling down and saying, I gotta lose those last 10 pounds or more, whatever, until summer hits. And then, we can't do it. After a while, the chips are calling our name because we haven't allowed ourselves to eat them. So I'm all about having what I call your deviations. I don't like the word cheats as it has such a negative connotation. So you have your deviations whenever that might happen. Often it's on the weekend, right? Or when you're out at a party or a restaurant or a gathering with friends, you have them, you enjoy them, you savor them, you do not feel guilty, and then you get back on track the next day or the next meal. And that is a key to your long-term success. I'm really not a big believer in keto. I think keto is very unhealthy. I'm not a believer in intermittent fasting. Like, why are we trying to do these things in order to trick our body when what we really want to do is just nourish our body 3 meals a day with healthy foods so it feels good, we feel balanced, and it's really, really good for our health because all these bad diets have been proven to be unhealthy. So take keto, for instance. People cut out carbs completely. But wait, where do we get our fiber? From carbs a lot, right? So these people are really constipated and, taking magnesium or whatever they can to try and go to the bathroom. And every time they might go travel or they're away, they start eating carbs, they realize how much they love carbs, and then they can't stop, and all the weight comes immediately back and then some. So wouldn't it be better to find something that you feel satisfied, that you feel good eating that way, that you can sustain for the rest of your life? It makes a whole lot more sense to me. So number one rule, if it grows, it's good for you. So some of the questions I get are like, well, what about carrots? I heard that carrots are really like high on the glycemic index. They're like way too high in sugar, so I can't eat carrots. Or bananas. I know that bananas, like they're super sweet, so I have to avoid them. So here's the thing. If you have diabetes or hypoglycemia and you have to be very, very careful with your blood sugar, then yes, perhaps you need to be careful with foods that are high on the glycemic index. If that is not the case for you, then no, you do not have to worry about the glycemic index of foods. The other main thing that most people don't realize is we usually don't eat one food alone. If you're eating carrots, often maybe they're, if it's with hummus or a dip, or you're having them in the salad or with a meal. So when you combine the food like carrots with, say, salmon or, a good protein and healthy fats, then the glycemic index does not go too high and spike up because the other foods that you're eating them with keeps the glycemic index more balanced and not spiked. If you eat like a chocolate bar alone, boom, yes, your glycemic index spikes way up and then crashes after. So yes, if it grows, if it's, all the things that I mentioned on the list, nuts, seeds, vegetables, fruits, growing foods are good for us. It's so fascinating to me that every color of food has beneficial properties for different body systems. So take, for instance, our dark leafy greens, dark green foods. A good way to remember it is green inside means clean inside. So our dark greens and green foods detoxify. Our orange foods have natural anti-inflammatory properties. So case in point, like turmeric is all the rage. People are taking supplements or putting it in their food. Carrots, squash, things like that, natural anti-inflammatory properties. Brown foods, guess what they help with? Going to the bathroom. So how many people have their coffee in the morning and go to the bathroom right after? Or dried fruits, dried prunes, things like that are really, really good for helping you go to the bathroom. What other? Reds. So red foods contain the bioflavonoids like tomatoes that are good for the circulatory system. White foods, as I mentioned earlier, leeks, garlic, onions, that's nature's natural antibiotics, amazing for the immune system. So when you eat all the colors of the rainbow, you're nourishing your body in so many different ways. What could be better? It's amazing. So what about dairy, right? Big question. Dairy, but I love my cheese. And yes, I eat cheese. It is so comforting and delicious and addictive. So I try to not have too much of it. But for milk, I think that milk would be great if we had a cow running around outside eating organic grass and had lots of love, and we got this like natural organic milk from the cow and nothing was added to it, and the cow is eating really super healthy food. But that's not the case most instances, right? The cows are given all kinds of GMO foods, and then the milk has to be pasteurized to make it healthy and safe for us. But in the pasteurization process, a lot of the nutrients might be lost. But the main thing is the calcium after with the pasteurization process is not bioavailable to our body, which means that our body doesn't absorb it as well. So I think milk is good for baby calves. We're the only species on planet Earth to drink the milk of another animal. So we don't need milk after the age of 2, and it's also acidifying for the body, so not great overall. So other milk alternatives might be almond milk, or what other milk you want to try. And are those perfect because they're packaged foods? No, not perfect. If you have the time to make your own almond milk, hats off to you. You can. I know one friend that does that. But I think the milk alternatives are a lot better for us. And then cheese, we can buy in a lot of places unpasteurized raw cheese, which is what I buy. And it can be low in fat also, because most cheese, guess why do we love it so much? It's basically salt and fat, right? What could be better? So if you can buy low fat, maybe 18% or less milk fat, it'll say on the package. Usually it's up to about 31% or more. So 10% is also very good. And for dairy, for yogurt, for myself, I buy organic yogurt. I find that I digest that way better. Regular yogurt, not as good, but it's all comes back to you and your body, right? You need to listen to your body. If some people tolerate milk just fine and their digestive system tolerates it okay, and they have a little bit in their coffee, then by all means, that's fine for you. Everyone is different in what they tolerate. So we need good fats to lose fat. So here's a great picture of some of our healthy fats. As I was mentioning before, seeds, amazing. Our healthy nuts, avocados, salmon, and what else? There's mackerel. The smaller the fish, the less contaminated it is. So if you choose like anchovies and sardines, if you like those, not everyone does, those are also excellent healthy fats. And for oils, just briefly, it's always about the refining process, right? So when oils are not highly refined, like our extra virgin olive oil, that's excellent. Or you can also buy first cold pressed oils. That means when they're processed, they're not heating them to really high temperatures. And that is much better because, again, they're in a more natural state. They're not highly refined. So I gave you all the benefits of our healthy alternatives and our healthy whole foods. What happens with unhealthy food? So we're getting a lot of calories with not enough nutrients. What happens is we actually increase our hunger, right? Because you're not satisfied. Your cells are still not nourished, so you're still hungry. And things that they add in, like aspartame in like soft drinks, that will you're never satisfied, right? Before, when they added sugar to things like soft drinks, you drink 1 or 2 and you couldn't drink anymore. But with aspartame and things in it, you can drink 8. It's really scary because there's no satiety. The body will become in a weakened state, prone to disease and inflammation like cancer, diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune disorders, digestive disorders, emotional challenges. So I don't like to dwell a lot on the negative aspect. I more rather increase all of the positive things that go on when we do eat healthy foods. But just know that you are setting yourself up for success eating real foods, and for disease and other challenges eating packaged processed foods. So what are some of our healthier alternatives on your food list? I'll go over a few of the things that I mentioned on the list. So fruit yogurt, we'll go look at that a little bit when we look at how to read a food label shortly. But instead of having the fruit flavored yogurt, because if you check on the label how much sugar is in there, it's often off the charts. So it's better to buy either Greek yogurt or plain organic yogurt and add your own fruit. That's an easy fix. If you find it way too sour, then add a little bit of sweetener, could be maple syrup or things like that. Margarine is a chemical shitstorm. It's not, there's nothing good in margarine. It's highly processed oil, so you're better off with butter. If you're worried about the saturated fat, you can also do things like mix butter with olive oil to have a little bit less saturated fat, but a little bit of butter. As I said before, we need some healthy fats. It's okay. Buy unsalted butter for sure. So we mentioned milk before, replacing with almond milk and other milk alternatives is perfect. White vinegar is really good for washing your windows. Okay, so white vinegar, there's zero nutritional density in it. So you're better off with any other kind of vinegar, like apple cider vinegar, amazing for the digestive system, red wine vinegar, or balsamic vinegars. And you can find these vinegars that are unpasteurized. So why and what is that? So it comes back again to not having foods that are highly processed. We can buy vinegars that are unpasteurized. They're in a more natural state, better for us. The same thing with honey. Find honey that says unpasteurized on it or raw. It's just as good and better for you. Salad dressings, we know in our salad dressings, there's often a lot of sugar, a lot of salt. They're made with unhealthy, refined oils. So making homemade doesn't take that long. 1 part oil to half a part vinegar, a few herbs, a little bit of good salt, and you're good to go. Replace your white sugar if you can, and it's not that hard. There's many, many alternatives. Stevia is one that is excellent. It is one of the only sugars that doesn't raise the glycemic index. So stevia is from a plant. It is 300 times sweeter than sugar, so you really need to be, add in, if you're buying the liquid, add in a drop or two. If you add in too much, you'll have a bitter aftertaste and you'll say, oh, Sue-Ann told me to do this. I don't like it. So a little goes a long way. Honey is natural and perfect. Maple syrup is good. And for recipes, when you're baking, I buy maybe raw cane sugar and things like that, way better than our white sugar. Or brown sugar is usually just white sugar that has a little bit of different color to it. Our white salt is highly refined as well. It's heated to high temperatures. They add caking agents to it so it won't clump. So you can buy it in the health food store or maybe in the regular healthy section of your regular grocery store. Try and find sun-dried sea salt from France. It will be a very, very light gray in color and it's almost moist. So it's like it's growing still. It is not refined. It is a beautiful salt from France. They still are harvesting it in the old-fashioned way, letting it dry out in the sun and raking it. Wonderful and good for the body, actually good for high blood pressure. So when you can find that salt, it's great. People often ask, what about pink Himalayan salt? Also good. Salt is good for us when it has color, so pink or gray. I do like the sun-dried sea salt from Brittany, France, as it is I think like a little bit more moist. You need to put it in a container and take little pinches of it. It won't really work in the shaker, will get stuck. So a little bit better than the dry, hard pink Himalayan salt. Jam, again, something that's like half sugar. So you can find jams that are sweetened with fruits. That's a little bit better. And we mentioned before the oils. So, the oil that comes in a plastic bottle in the grocery store, whatever, it could be canola oil or sunflower oil. And people now are all saying, oh, seed oils are bad for us. No, wrong. It depends on the processing. So you can buy sunflower oil or canola oil that is organic and first cold pressed. As I said before, not highly refined and very good for us. Coconut oil is also good. A lot of people ask about that. So you're telling me, like, Sue-Ann, what if I don't like these foods? Like, I don't like very many vegetables. It's hard for me. I'm used to my own way of eating. And of course, I know for some people it's a little overwhelming, all this information. She's telling me all these things, just as I want you to take it one baby step at a time. Our nutrient deprived body craves more food. And, when you're doing all these processed foods, you're laying the groundwork for disease. But if you can take baby steps, so what vegetables do you like? Just focus on buying a few more of those. What fruits do you like? Try those. Maybe for breakfast, you'll have oats instead of a sugary cereal. There are so many ways to make little changes over time to make it work for you without going into overwhelm. The other thing to do is maybe just start with breakfast. If you're used to grabbing a Danish or a pastry or some kind of, thing at Tim Hortons or whatever fast food place your favorite is, how can you start to maybe have fruits for breakfast, or have organic yogurt and a little bit of fruit, or make yourself a smoothie? Just start with one meal and move on to the next, and you will get there guaranteed. I'm going to be talking a little bit tomorrow and the upcoming days about if you need the help to help yourself get started. The best way is to join my Body Typology membership. It is a wonderful community of women, and you'll have a huge opportunity to be able to work with me one-on-one, get all your questions answered, and help you step by step make the changes that you need to increase all these wonderful foods into your daily habits and drop the pounds if you want to in time for summer. So now I promised at the beginning that we would look at how to read a food label, because so many people have a hard time with this. I know this is not that clear. I tried to take some screenshots and make them smaller onto so I could upload them here. They didn't come out that clear, but okay. So this is Nature Valley Sweet and Salty dark chocolate nut granola bar. So many, people are having granola bars for snacks, and well, are they good? Well, this says that it's made with whole grain oats. It's loaded with chocolate chunks, and there's no artificial colors or flavors. Should be pretty good, right? Let's see. Let's look at their labels. All right, so when you're looking at a label, the first thing we see is the fat, 8 grams. It says that's 11% of the daily value that I'm allowed in a day. Seems pretty high. Saturated fat is 3 grams, so that should be this is for 1 bar. Not too bad. Trans fat, they put that on, but trans fats, I don't think they're allowed, not in Canada anyway, so I'm not sure. They're probably trying to make us feel better. Carbohydrates are 21 grams, fiber, so there's a little bit of fiber in there. Sugar, 9 grams. So here's the thing you need to know about sugars. 4 grams equals 1 teaspoon. So if you remember that, every time you read a food label, now you'll be able to visualize it, because grams in my mind, how much grams sugar, but if I know that 4 grams equals 1 teaspoon, so I can know that in this one little bar, there's the equivalent of more than 2 teaspoons of sugar. That's pretty high. 3 grams of protein, well, that's pretty low. Say we need to get in at least 45 to 50 grams of protein per day if you're trying to use this like for breakfast instead. Not so great. Whereas if you had, say, a bowl of yogurt would probably be about, I forget, yogurt's like 8 or 10 grams of protein. If you had 2 eggs, that would be 6 grams of protein for each egg, so that would be 12. The sodium content, 120 milligrams, so that's a little high as well, 5%. So when I look at a food label, the first thing I look at the fat, and I look at the sugar and the protein. Those are the 3 main things you want to look at, and sodium. So now let's look at the ingredients. All right, here are ingredients. So sugar is the first ingredient, and that consists of corn syrup, sugar, and fructose, barley malt extract. That's 4 different kinds of sugar as the main ingredient. Not so good, right? We have peanuts and oats, and then we have our chocolate chunks. Again, we have sugar, liquid, chocolate liquor, cocoa butter, soy lecithin, and natural flavor. Then next is rice flour, palm, and palm kernel oil. So here's the thing. But when we decided, the Canadian Food and Drug Administration, or the American board decided that trans fats were no longer good for us, all the food industry is like, oh my God, what are we going to use? Oh, let's use palm oil and palm kernel oil. This is actually an oil that's solid. It is like lard. It is very detrimental to our health, and it will clog the arteries, but it is so-called safe for all the food industry, and it has a super long shelf life. What could be better? So they put it in. So we don't have to go through all of the ingredients, but you can see your monosaturated, highly refined canola oil, sunflower oil. Just know that any packaged or processed food are not going to be using are very good quality oils that are first cold pressed, because they cost a lot more money. They need to think of their food costs. So that's for that. Instead of your granola bars, you can make my best ever protein power bars, and I will be sharing my recipe with you this afternoon in this afternoon's email, so you will get that. There's a lot of ingredients in them, but they are amazing. I've given that recipe to tons of people. You can also find them on my website. Probably easier, I'll just link the recipe on my website, so you can make those. Now, this is our second food label, the last one we'll look at. This is the yup drink. So these little yogurt drinks that tons of moms give to their kids, right? Because they think, oh, it's a perfect little snack for my kid. Let's see the ingredients. Partly skimmed milk. So milk that is fortified with some vitamin D3, water, sugar, milk protein, natural flavor, and bacterial culture. That doesn't sound too bad, right? That should be healthy to give to my kid, right? A little yogurt, strawberry. This is strawberry and banana yup drink. But wait, I don't see any strawberry and bananas in there. That's funny. But I guess the so-called natural flavor is what is giving the strawberry and banana flavor. So not so natural, right? Now here is our nutrition label. Fats is 2 grams, not too bad. You know, the yogurt has a little bit of natural fat in it. Let's jump down to the sugars, 19 grams of sugar. Whoa. So that is almost the equivalent of 5 teaspoons of sugar in one of those tiny little bottles, like off the charts, right? So crazy. No wonder our kids are like hyper. Yes, there are some natural sugars in the yogurt, but 5 teaspoons of natural sugar is of added sugar, or well, can only be added sugar because, as we saw, there was no fruit in that drink, right? You do have some protein, 6 grams, some sodium, but the sugar does totally make this an unhealthy thing to drink. Here's one of my clients. This is Cindy. She lives in Northern Ontario. She hired me to work with her to drop the pounds that she wanted to. And she said not only did she reach her weight loss goal she had for 9 years, she ended up losing 28 pounds and so far has maintained it. I think she looks amazing. She was running half marathons and still couldn't drop the pounds, but she started learning how to eat right for her body type, replace ordinary foods with healthier alternatives and all the things by working with me one-on-one, and had amazing results. So tomorrow, I hope you will join us. We have a lot of great things in store. It's all about cravings. So I think and I hope that you've learned today how ordinary foods can help us by filling us up with all of these nutrients so that you're not as hungry in between meals and after meals, or you're not going to be having bigger portions because they're going to be filling you up. So you have to ask yourself, why are you here? Why did you sign up? Why are you watching this replay? Why are you signed up live for those that came to the live stream? Are you ready to completely transform this part of your life forever? I am here for you. If you want to know more, by all means, just message me and I can tell you about the membership and or how to work with me one-on-one. And I'd be happy to help you out. As I said, we'll be talking about the membership more tomorrow and upcoming days, but I want you to start now. I want you to take your first step, and I want you to implement something that you learned today, right? So we always say, don't just learn, implement. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and thanks for everyone who showed up. Thanks for everyone who's watching the replay. We can take a minute for questions if you want to put them in the chat. I know I covered a ton of information. Sometimes people are a little bit shy in asking any questions, but you can feel free. And we'll just take a minute. So you do have your healthy alternatives food list for your handout today. And I hope that that helps and doesn't confuse because there's a lot of things on there. So I don't see any questions coming in the chat, even though there are a bunch of people watching the live. So if you missed the beginning, the replay will be going out shortly. And I guess that's it. I hope everyone has a wonderful day and super excited about tomorrow. I have so much information for you about overcoming cravings, physical or emotional hunger. It's going to be amazing. So make sure you join us. Have a great day, everyone.